My name is Brinley Shaw, and I am 29 years old. 3 weeks ago at my own baby shower, my mother-in-law handed me an envelope and announced to 50 guests the list of 47 reasons my husband should divorce me. My husband laughed. The room laughed. I did not. I opened the envelope. I found reason number 23, and I read it out loud. Her face drained of color. That night, every single member of my husband's family blocked her number. Before I tell you what was in that envelope and why it destroyed her, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this story. Also, drop a comment and tell me where you are watching from and what time it is there. I love reading those. Now, let me take you back 4 weeks to the night my mother-in-law started planning my humiliation. It was a Tuesday night, 10 o'clock. I was lying on the couch with my swollen feet propped up on a pillow, 7 months pregnant, and every part of me ached. My husband, Derek, was on the phone with his mother again. I could hear her voice through the speaker, sharp and efficient, like she was running a board meeting instead of discussing a baby shower. "I have got everything planned," she said. "The caterer, the decorations, the guest list. Just tell Brinley not to worry about a thing. Tell Brinley. Not ask Brinley." Derek glanced at me. "Mom says she is handling it all. Can I talk to her?" He hesitated, then handed me the phone. "Vivian, hi. I was thinking maybe we could." "Oh, Brinley." Her voice shifted, sweeter now. The kind of sweet that made my teeth hurt. "You do not need to worry about anything, dear. Just rest. These things require experience." I had an idea for the theme, actually. Something simple. "That is lovely." She cut me off. "But I think my concept fits better. You have never planned a large event, have you?" The pause hung there. I knew what she meant. What she always meant. "You did not have a mother to teach you." "I will handle everything," she continued. "A mother knows best." Before I could respond, she added, "Oh, by the way, I have invited a few of Derek's old friends. Jessica, too. You remember Jessica?" My stomach tightened. Jessica, Derek's ex-girlfriend. The one Vivian still sent Christmas cards to. "That is thoughtful," I managed. "Wonderful. Get some rest, dear. You will need it." The line went dead. Derek took the phone back. "See? She has got it covered." I stared at the ceiling. Why would she invite Jessica to my baby shower? 1 week before the shower, we had dinner at Vivian's house. I wore my favorite maternity dress. Dusty rose, soft fabric, the only thing that still fit comfortably. I had bought it with my own money. Picked it out myself. It made me feel like me. The dining room was full. Derek, his sister Elena, Aunt Margaret, a few cousins. Everyone passing dishes, making small talk. Vivian sat at the head of the table. "Brinley," she said, mid-conversation, loud enough for everyone to hear. "That dress is interesting." I looked down. "Thank you. Dusty rose is tricky, though." She tilted her head. "Dark colors can make a woman look so heavy, especially when she is carrying." The table went quiet. "I am comfortable in it," I said. "Of course you are." She smiled. "Comfort is important. I just think if your mother were here, she might have mentioned that." The silence stretched. Aunt Margaret's fork paused midair. Elena stared at her plate. Derek cleared his throat. "Mom, come on." But he did not finish. He never finished. I kept my smile in place. "I appreciate the advice, Vivian, but I am comfortable with who I am." She blinked, then laughed. Light. Dismissive. "Of course, dear." After dinner, I was washing my hands in the bathroom when Elena slipped in. "Hey." She closed the door behind her. "I am sorry about her. I know she has been difficult." I met her eyes in the mirror. "It is fine." "It is not." Elena bit her lip. "Listen, there is something I need to tell you. But not here." "What do you mean? Can we meet tomorrow?" "Just us." The urgency in her voice made my chest tighten. "Okay," I said. "Tomorrow." She nodded once, then left. What did Derek's sister know that I did not? We met at a coffee shop the next morning. Elena was already there when I arrived, stirring a latte she had not touched. She looked nervous. "That made 2 of us." "Thanks for coming," she said as I sat down. "You are scaring me a little." "What is going on?" Elena took a breath. "I work at First National, you know that." I handle transactions for the branch. I nodded. Last week, I was processing account reviews. Routine stuff. She paused. I came across a withdrawal from your joint savings. Yours and Derek's. Okay. $15,000, Brinley. The number hit me like cold water. That is not right. Derek did not mention any withdrawal. Because he did not make it. Elena's voice dropped. The authorization came through a linked account. Someone with secondary access. Who has secondary access to our savings? She looked at me, and I knew. Derek added her years ago, Elena said quietly. Before you were married. For emergencies, he said. Vivian took $15,000 from our account? She did not take it officially. She transferred it through the linked access. Elena slid a piece of paper across the table. Here is the statement. The date matches her new antique collection she has been bragging about. I stared at the numbers. Black and white. Undeniable. Why are you telling me this? Elena met my eyes. Because it is wrong. And you deserve to know. I folded the paper carefully and slipped it into my purse. Does Derek know? I do not think so. $15,000. Gone without a word to either of us. What are you going to do? Elena asked. I did not answer because I did not know yet. But I knew one thing. I was not going to pretend this was okay. That night, I waited until Derek got home. Can we talk? He dropped his bag by the door. Sure. Everything okay? Did you know your mother has access to our savings account? He paused. Yeah. I added her years ago, before us. Emergency access. Why? Check the balance. He pulled out his phone and opened the banking app. I watched his face change. There is 15,000 missing. I know. How do you know? Elena told me. She saw the transaction at work. Derek stared at the screen. Then he called his mother. I listened to his side of the conversation. The confusion. The questions. And then the shift. She says she borrowed it, he said, hanging up. For my birthday gift. She was going to pay it back. Borrowed? I let the word sit there. Without asking? She said it slipped her mind to mention it. $15,000 slipped her mind. Brinley. He rubbed his face. She said she will pay it back. Let us not make this a big deal. You know how she gets. There it was. The phrase I had heard 100 times. You know how she gets. Translation. Do not upset her. Do not challenge her. Keep the peace. Derek, she took money from our account without permission. That is not a misunderstanding. She is my mother. And I am your wife. He sighed, looked at the floor. Please, he said quietly. Just do not bring this up at the baby shower. I do not want drama. I stood there, 7 months pregnant, holding proof his mother had stolen from us. And he was asking me to stay quiet. I guess we will see, I said. I did not promise anything, because I was done making promises I could not keep. The day before the shower, Vivian called me directly. That almost never happened. Brinley, darling. Her voice was honey over steel. I wanted to confirm a few details. The photographer needs to know colors for the shots. I have coordinated everything in yellow and cream, so I will need you to wear something that matches. I looked at the dusty rose dress hanging in my closet. The one I had already chosen. I have a dress picked out. Dusty rose. Silence. Then, oh, is that a problem? Well, she laughed lightly. Yellow would photograph so much better. I have already briefed the team. Then tell them I will be in dusty rose. Another pause. Longer this time. Of course, dear. The sweetness curdled. Whatever makes you comfortable. I had heard that phrase before from her. It never meant what it said. Vivian, is there something else? Actually, yes. Her tone shifted. Warmer now. Almost conspiratorial. I have a little surprise planned for you at the party. Something I have been working on for quite some time. My grip tightened on the phone. What kind of surprise? Now, if I told you, it would not be a surprise, would it? She laughed. Do not worry. I think everyone will love it. It is very personal. Personal. The word sat wrong in my stomach. I just want everything perfect, she continued, for the family. You understand, do not you? I understand perfectly. Wonderful. See you tomorrow, dear. Get plenty of rest. She hung up. I stood in my bedroom. one hand on my belly, the other still holding the phone. A surprise. Something personal. Something she had been planning for quite some time. Every instinct I had was screaming. But I had no proof of anything. Not yet. The morning of the shower, my best friend, Tessa, arrived early. She found me in the bedroom, half-dressed, staring at the bank statement on my dresser. "You look like you are preparing for battle," she said. "Maybe I am." Tessa sat on the edge of the bed. We had been friends since college. She was a nurse, practical and unshakable, the kind of person who stayed calm in emergencies. "Tell me everything." So I did. The $15,000. Elena's warning. Derek asking me to keep quiet. Vivian's surprise. Tessa listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "And you are still going to this party?" "I have to. If I skip, I am the bad guy. She wins either way." "So, what is the plan?" I looked at the dusty rose dress, at the bank statement, at my reflection in the mirror. "No plan," I said. "I am just going to show up, smile, and get through it." Tessa raised an eyebrow. "That does not sound like you." "What do you mean?" "You are an analyst, Brinley. You do not walk into situations without data." I almost smiled. She knew me too well. I opened my purse and pulled out the folded bank statement, showed it to her. "I have the data. I just do not know if I will use it." Tessa looked at the paper, then at me. "Whatever happens today," she said, "I have got your back. And my phone is fully charged." "For what?" "Documentation." She shrugged. "You never know." I hugged her. For a moment, I felt less alone. "Thank you." "Do not thank me yet." She pulled back, grinning. "Let us go watch your mother-in-law's surprise. I have a feeling it is going to be memorable." She had no idea how right she was. Vivian's house looked like a magazine spread. Yellow and white balloons clustered in archways. Streamers caught the afternoon light. A banner over the fireplace read, "Welcome Baby Shaw," in gold cursive. 50 guests milled about with champagne and finger foods. Cousins, aunts, family, friends. Some I knew. Most I did not. It was beautiful. And not a single detail had been run by me. Derek squeezed my hand as we walked in. "See? Mom really outdid herself." I nodded, smiled, said nothing. The first person I noticed was Jessica. She stood near the gift table, blonde hair perfect, wearing a yellow dress that matched the decorations exactly. When she saw me, she smiled. Slow and knowing. Had Vivian coordinated their outfits? "Brinley, there you are." Vivian swept toward us, arms outstretched. She wore cream silk, pearls at her throat. Picture-perfect hostess. She pulled me into a hug. "Close. Tight." "Our beautiful mama-to-be," she announced to the room. Everyone applauded. But as she held me, she whispered, "Glad you did not wear yellow. Makes things easier." Before I could ask what she meant, she released me and turned to greet another guest. "Makes things easier." I found Tessa across the room. She raised her eyebrows in a silent question. I shook my head slightly. The next hour was a blur of small talk and forced smiles. Every few minutes, I caught Vivian watching me. Pleased. Anticipatory. Then, at exactly 3 o'clock, she clinked a fork against her champagne glass. The room fell quiet. "Everyone, please gather around," Vivian announced, beaming. "Before we continue, I have a very special presentation for Brinley. Something I have been working on for months." My heart began to pound. This was it. The surprise. And I had a terrible feeling I knew what was coming. Before Vivian could continue, the front door opened. Elena hurried in, cheeks flushed, slightly out of breath. She scanned the room until her eyes found mine. Something was wrong. I could see it in her face. "Sorry I am late," she announced to no one in particular, already making her way toward me. Vivian frowned. "Elena, we are about to start the presentation." "Just 1 minute, Mom." Elena reached me, took my elbow, and guided me toward the window, away from the crowd. "What is going on?" I whispered. "I heard Mom on the phone last night." Elena's voice was barely audible. She was talking to Aunt Ruth about some list. I do not know what it is, but she sounded excited in a bad way. My mouth went dry. "What kind of list?" "I do not know. But whatever she is planning, be careful." I glanced back at Vivian. She was watching us, smile fixed in place, eyes sharp. "Elena, listen to me." I gripped her arm. "If anything happens, remember what you have. The bank statement. That is not nothing." "You think she would actually?" "I do not know what she will do. But I know my mother." Elena's jaw tightened. "She thinks she is untouchable. She thinks no one will challenge her in public. What if she wrote something down? Something incriminating?" Elena's eyes widened slightly. "Then she just handed you the weapon." "Elena." Vivian's voice cut through. "We are waiting, ladies." Elena squeezed my hand once. "I will be right here." She stepped away. I walked back to the center of the room, where 50 pairs of eyes watched me. Vivian smiled. And I realized, whatever was in that envelope, Vivian had no idea what she had actually written. Time to find out. As I moved through the crowd, a hand caught my wrist. Aunt Margaret. She was seated on the sofa near the window, champagne untouched beside her. Derek's aunt had always been quiet at family gatherings. Observing. Never speaking. "Sit with me a moment," she said. I sat. "How are you holding up, sweetie?" "I am fine. Just tired." She studied my face. "I have known Vivian for over 30 years. Since she married my brother." I did not know that. Most people do not. Margaret glanced across the room, where Vivian was arranging something near the gift table. "She has never liked anyone who does not follow her rules." "Did she treat you like this too?" Margaret's smile was thin. "Worse." But I did not have proof. I felt the weight of the bank statement in my purse. "Do you?" she asked quietly. I did not answer. Just held her gaze. Margaret nodded slowly. "Good. Keep it close." "Why are you telling me this?" She was silent for a moment. When she spoke, her voice was heavy with something old. "Years ago, Vivian convinced my brother I was stealing from the family. I was not." Her eyes glistened. "But I could not prove it. And Richard died believing her lies." "I am so sorry." "Do not be sorry. Be smart." She squeezed my hand. "If she tries anything today, do not let her win with silence." Silence is how she has won for 30 years. Everyone gather around. Vivian's voice rang out. Margaret released my hand. "Go. And remember what I said." I stood, walked toward the center of the room. 50 guests formed a semicircle. Derek stood near his mother, smiling, oblivious. And Vivian held a white envelope. The room fell silent. This was it. "Okay, I need to pause here for a second. If you are as invested in the story as I was living through it, drop a comment and tell me, what would you do if your mother-in-law handed you an envelope like this? Would you open it in front of everyone? Would you walk away? I am genuinely curious. And if you are enjoying this, please hit that like button. It really helps. Now, back to the party." Vivian stood in the center of the room, white envelope in hand. The afternoon light caught the pearls at her throat. She looked every inch the gracious hostess. Warm, welcoming, benevolent. "Brinley, sweetheart." She extended her hand. "Come here." I walked toward her. Each step felt like wading through water. 50 guests watched, smiling, expectant. They thought this was part of the celebration. "I have put so much thought into this moment," Vivian said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "As a mother, I only want the very best for my son." Murmurs of agreement. Nods. Someone said, "How sweet." Vivian held out the envelope. "This is a list," she announced, "of 47 reasons my son should divorce you." For 1 second, the room was completely silent. Then Derek laughed. It started small, a surprised chuckle. Then it spread. Aunt Ruth laughed. Cousin David laughed. A woman I did not recognize laughed so hard she dabbed her eyes. They thought it was a joke. A gag gift. Mother-in-law humor. Vivian laughed too, her eyes crinkling at the corners. But I noticed. Her gaze never left my face. This was not a joke. She wanted to see me break. Derek nudged me. "Come on, babe. Open it." I took the envelope. It was heavier than I expected. "Go ahead," Vivian said sweetly. "Read it. It is all in good fun." Her smile sharpened. "Unless you are afraid of what you will find." Another ripple of laughter from the crowd. I looked at Derek. He was still smiling, waiting for me to play along. I looked at the envelope in my hands, and I thought about every dismissive comment, every backhanded compliment, every time I had stayed silent to keep the peace. I was not afraid. I was done. I opened the envelope. Inside were 4 pages. White paper, neatly typed. Numbered 1 through 47. The room was still buzzing with amusement. Someone whispered, "This is priceless." Another said, "Vivian is such a character." I began to read. Number 1. She does not know how to cook a proper roast. Number 4. She convinced my son to move 20 minutes away from me. Number 7. She works too much. A wife should be home. Number 15. She is too independent. A good wife relies on her husband. The complaints were petty, small, the kind of grievances a bitter woman collects over years, polishing them like stones. But I kept reading. Number 19. She did not invite me to her doctor's appointment. Number 21. She will not let me decorate the nursery. And then I reached number 23. I read it once, then again. My heart stopped. Well, Vivian's voice broke through. Anything interesting? I looked up, met her eyes. Around me, 50 people waited. Tessa stood in the corner, phone in hand. Elena hovered near the door, pale. Aunt Margaret watched from the sofa, hands folded. Derek was grinning. Come on, read some out loud. This is hilarious. Vivian tilted her head. Yes, dear. Share with the class. I looked at the words one more time. Reason number 23. She does not even know I accessed their joint bank account to withdraw money for Derek's birthday gift. Proof she does not pay attention to their finances. She had written it down. Vivian had actually written down her own confession. And she had no idea. I lifted my head. May I read this one out loud? Vivian's smile widened, triumphant. Of course, dear. Whichever one you like. I took a breath. And I began to speak. My voice was steady, calm. I did not raise it. I did not need to. Reason number 23. The room leaned in. She does not even know I accessed their joint bank account to withdraw money for Derek's birthday gift. Proof she does not pay attention to their finances. Silence. Complete. Absolute. I continued, same measured tone. For the record, I did know. The withdrawal was $15,000. I reached into my purse and pulled out the folded bank statement. I have the documentation right here. Vivian's face went white. Not pale. White. Like someone had pulled a plug and drained every drop of color from her skin. That is, she stammered. First time I had ever heard Vivian Shaw at a loss for words. Derek stepped forward. Wait, Mom. You took money from our account. I was going to pay it back. Vivian's voice pitched high. It was for your birthday. You never asked me. I did not need to ask. I am your mother. Aunt Margaret stood up from the sofa. Her voice cut through the room like a knife. You accessed their account without permission. She walked toward Vivian. That is not borrowing. That is stealing. The whispers started low at first, then louder. $15,000 without telling them. She wrote it down. I stood perfectly still. I had not accused anyone, had not raised my voice, had not made a scene. I had simply read her own words back to her. Vivian spun around, searching for allies. But everywhere she looked, she found only stares. Shock. Disgust. Elena stepped forward. It is true. I work at the bank. I saw the transaction myself. Elena. Vivian's voice cracked. You are siding with her? I am siding with the truth, Mom. The room erupted. Everything happened at once. Voices overlapped. Questions fired from every direction. How long has this been going on? Did Derek know? Is this why she has been so hostile? Vivian stood frozen in the middle of the chaos, mouth opening and closing like a fish pulled from water. Aunt Margaret was not finished. This is not the first time, is it, Vivian? The room went quiet again. Margaret walked closer. 30 years of silence burned in her eyes. You told my brother I was stealing from the family. Her voice shook. I never stole a thing. But Richard believed you. He died believing your lies. Gasps scattered through the crowd. A cousin spoke up. Wait, is that why Dad stopped talking to Aunt Margaret? She made it up. Margaret's tears spilled over now. All of it. And I spent decades being treated like a criminal. Vivian's composure crumbled. That was different. Different how? Margaret cut her off. You lied about me. Now you have stolen from your own son. And then you wrote it down. Movement near the gift table. Jessica stepped forward. Mrs. Shaw. Her voice was quiet but carried. You told me you invited me because Brinley wanted old friends here. She paused. That was not true, was it? Another murmur swept the room. Vivian had invited Derek's ex-girlfriend to his wife's baby shower. Under false pretenses. I was trying to, Vivian started. You were trying to hurt me, I said. Not angry. Just clear. You have been trying to hurt me since the day we met. I held up the list. These are your words, Vivian. Not mine. All 47 of them. She had no response. For the first time in 30 years, Vivian Shaw had nothing to say. Derek stood between us. I watched him process it. The list. The money. The lies. Years of conditioning cracking like ice under sudden weight. Vivian reached for him. Derek, honey, you know I only did this because I love you. She is changing you. She is taking you away from me. Mom. His voice was rough. I was trying to protect you. From what? He stepped back from her touch. From the woman carrying my child? She is not right for you. I have always known it. You took our money. The words came slow, like he was hearing them for the first time. You made a list to humiliate my wife at her own baby shower. In front of our entire family. And you invited my ex-girlfriend. Jessica quietly slipped toward the door. Vivian's eyes darted around the room. Everyone is overreacting. This is just a misunderstanding. $15,000 is not a misunderstanding. Derek's jaw tightened. A 47-item list is not a joke. I stayed silent. This was not my fight to win. It was his. He had to choose. The room held its breath. I think you should leave, Mom. Vivian's face crumpled. You are choosing her over your own mother? Derek looked at me, at my belly, at the life we were building. Then back at her. I am choosing my family. The one I am building with her. Vivian grabbed her purse. Her hands shook. She walked toward the door, and the crowd parted like water. At the threshold, she turned. Her eyes locked on mine. This is not over, she said. I met her gaze without flinching. I think it is. The door slammed behind her. For a moment, no one moved. Then Aunt Margaret lifted her champagne glass. Well, she said, that was 30 years overdue. The door's echo faded. 50 people stood in Vivian's perfectly decorated living room, surrounded by yellow balloons and streamers, trying to make sense of what just happened. Then, unexpectedly, someone laughed. It was Aunt Ruth. A small, shocked giggle that broke the tension. I have waited 20 years to see that woman speechless, she said. A few others laughed. Nervous. Relieved. Elena crossed the room to me. I am so sorry about all of this. Are you okay? I took a breath. Let it out. I think I am better than I have been in months. Tessa appeared at my side, phone still in hand. She leaned in close. I got it all on video, she whispered. Just in case. I nodded. Not for revenge. Just for protection. There is a difference. Derek came to me then. His face was pale, eyes red. Brinley. His voice broke. I am sorry. I should have seen this sooner. I took his hand. You see it now. That is what matters. Around us, the baby shower slowly resumed. Awkwardly at first, then with genuine warmth. Someone cut the cake. Someone else started opening gifts. But the mood had shifted. Lighter somehow. Like a pressure valve had finally released. Vivian's cousin, Ellen, found me near the dessert table. Thank you, she said quietly. Someone needed to stand up to her. We have all been too afraid. Similar whispers reached me throughout the afternoon. Relatives I had barely met. Friends of the family. All with the same message. It was about time. I did not expose her. She exposed herself. I just read what she wrote. By the time we left that evening, I realized something had changed. For the first time since I had married Derek, I did not feel like an outsider in his family. I felt like I belonged. Before the party ended, a small group gathered in Vivian's study. Derek, me, Elena, Aunt Margaret. The door closed behind us. "We need to talk about next steps," Margaret said. Derek sat on the edge of Vivian's desk, the desk where she probably typed that list. "I am removing her access from our accounts first thing tomorrow." "Good," Elena said. "That should have been done years ago." "And the 15,000? I asked. Elena pulled out her phone, checking something. "Legally, you have options. The withdrawal was unauthorized. You could pursue it." "I do not want to sue her." I shook my head. "I just want boundaries. Then make them clear." Margaret's voice was firm. "In writing. No more family favors. No more access to your finances, your home, or your decisions. Not until she earns it back." Derek nodded slowly. "I will send her an email. Lay it all out. No contact until she apologizes and pays back the money." "An actual apology," Elena added. Not her usual, "I am sorry you feel that way" nonsense. "And the baby shower." I looked around the room. "Do we just pretend this did not happen?" Margaret laughed. "Warm. Genuine. Honey, this is the most honest family gathering I have been to in 30 years. Derek took my hand. "I am not cutting her off forever. She is still my mother. But until she takes responsibility, she does not get access to our life." I squeezed his hand back. It was not a perfect solution. It was not even a complete one. But it was a start. Boundaries are not about punishment. They are about protection. And for the first time in my marriage, I had both my husband and his family standing beside me. That was worth more than any apology. Can I be honest with you for a second? When I was standing there reading that list out loud, my hands were shaking. But I realized something. Silence was not protecting me. It was protecting her. If you have ever had to stand up to someone who thought they were untouchable, I see you. Drop a heart emoji in the comments. And if you are new here, please subscribe. We have got more stories coming. Now, let me tell you what happened that night. That night, our apartment felt different. Quieter. Lighter. Like a storm had passed and left everything clean. Derek sat on the couch, staring at his phone. "I have 12 messages," he said. "From who?" "Everyone." He scrolled through. Uncle David, Cousin Beth, Aunt Ruth. People who have not texted me in years. What are they saying? He read a few out loud. "Elena, Mom has been calling everyone. No one is answering. Aunt Margaret blocked her number. 30 years too late, but better late than never. Cousin Beth, I always knew something was off with her. Thank you for finally proving it. Uncle David, proud of you, son." That took guts. Derek set the phone down. His eyes were distant. "How do you feel?" I asked. He thought for a long moment. "Guilty. Relieved. Sad. All at once." "That is okay." I sat beside him. "You are allowed to feel all of it. I spent 31 years thinking her behavior was normal." He turned to look at me. "It took you standing up to show me it was not." I did not say anything, just rested my head on his shoulder. His phone buzzed. He checked it, then showed me the screen. He had blocked Vivian's number. "I will unblock her when she is ready to be a grandmother," he said quietly. "Not a controller." I thought about the baby growing inside me, about the family I wanted to build. "She can still fix this," I said. "All she has to do is apologize." Genuinely. "You think she will?" I remembered Vivian's face as she left. The rage, the humiliation, the promise in her eyes. "I do not know," I said honestly, "but the door is not locked, just closed." Whether she chose to open it was up to her. A week passed. Then the email arrived. Derek showed it to me on a Sunday morning, his face carefully neutral. "It is from her." I set down my coffee. "What does it say?" He read it aloud. "Dear Derek, I have had time to reflect on what happened at the shower. I am deeply hurt that you chose to publicly humiliate me in front of our entire family. Brinley clearly orchestrated this to turn everyone against me. I was only trying to protect you, as I always have. The money was a loan, nothing more. I expected my own son to understand that. I hope you will reconsider your position and see that I have only ever wanted what is best for you. Love, Mom." He put the phone down. I waited. "She is not apologizing," he said finally. "She is explaining why she was right." "I know. She is blaming you." I noticed. He rubbed his face. "What do I do?" I thought about it. About Vivian. About second chances. About boundaries that mean nothing if they bend at the first test. That is your call, I said. But if you respond, be clear. He picked up his phone, started typing, deleted it, started again. When he finished, he showed me. Mom, until you genuinely apologize to Brinley and pay back the money, I will not respond. I love you, but I love my family more. You did not have to mention my name. Yes, I did. He looked at me. You are the reason I finally see clearly. He hit send. We did not expect a response, and we did not get one. But 1 week later, Elena called. $15,000, she said. Just appeared back in your account this morning. No note, no message. The money was returned. The apology was not. Some things take longer than others. 2 weeks after the money appeared, Elena called again. Her voice sounded different this time. Heavier. I need to tell you something about Mom. I braced myself. What happened? She is not doing well. Elena paused. She is alone. No one is talking to her. Margaret blocked her. Ruth blocked her. Even her bridge club dropped her. I did not tell anyone to block her. I know. Elena sighed. They made their own choice. But she is spiraling. She called me crying last night. Said everyone abandoned her. I listened to the silence on the line. How do you feel about that? I asked. Honestly? Conflicted. Elena's voice cracked. She is my mother. And she is awful. Both things are true. I understood that more than she knew. She can fix this, Elena. All she has to do is apologize. Genuinely. I told her that. She keeps saying she did nothing wrong. Then she is not ready yet. I know. A long pause. I just wanted you to know what is happening with her. In case it matters. I looked out the window, thought about the woman who had spent years making me feel small. Who had stolen from us. Who had tried to destroy my marriage in front of 50 people. I did not feel happy that she was suffering. But I did not feel guilty either. Thank you for telling me, I said. And Elena? You are not responsible for her choices. Neither are you. I know. When we hung up, Derek was watching me. How is she? Lonely. Defensive. Still not sorry. He nodded slowly. Maybe she never will be. Maybe. I placed my hand on my belly. But until she is, she does not get to be part of this. Our baby kicked right on cue. Some boundaries protect more than one person. 3 months later, I gave birth to our daughter. We named her Sophie. The delivery room was small but bright. Derek held my hand through 18 hours of labor. Tessa was there off duty but refusing to leave. Elena arrived with flowers. Aunt Margaret brought a hand-knitted blanket. Vivian was not there. She still had not apologized. I held Sophie for the first time. This tiny, perfect person. And I felt the world shift on its axis. Everything that had happened before suddenly felt smaller. Less important. This was what mattered now. She is beautiful, Tessa whispered. She looks like you, Derek said, tears on his cheeks. I looked at my daughter's face. At her tiny fingers. At the future stretching out ahead of her. She would not grow up in a family where silence was a weapon. Where manipulation was love. Where standing up for yourself meant standing alone. I would make sure of it. Later that evening, Derek sat beside my hospital bed, phone in hand. I called Mom, he said quietly. Told her about Sophie. My heart clenched. What did she say? She cried. Asked if she could see her. He met my eyes. I said, when she is ready to respect my wife, she can meet my daughter. I reached for his hand. That must have been hard. It was. He squeezed my fingers. But it was the right thing. Elena appeared in the doorway. Hey, she said softly. I just wanted you to know I talked to Mom this morning. She mentioned therapy. Therapy. For the first time in her life. Elena almost smiled. Maybe there is hope. I looked at Sophie, sleeping peacefully in my arms. Maybe there was. But hope was not the same as trust. That would have to be earned. 6 months after Sophie was born, a letter arrived. Not an email. A handwritten letter on cream stationery, with Vivian's familiar slanted script. I almost threw it away. Instead, I sat at the kitchen table while Sophie napped, and I read. It was 2 pages long. She wrote about her childhood, growing up with a mother who never showed affection, learning that love meant control and control meant safety. She wrote about losing Derek's father, and how terrified she had been of losing Derek too. Then she wrote this. I convinced myself that if I could control everything around my son, I could keep him safe. But I was wrong. I was not protecting him. I was suffocating him. And I was cruel to you because you threatened the only kind of love I knew how to give. I am sorry. Not sorry you feel that way. Not sorry if I hurt you. I am sorry for what I did. For the list. For the money. For every time I made you feel like you were not enough. You are enough. You always were. I was just too broken to see it. I read the letter twice. Then a third time. Derek came home to find me at the table, the pages spread before him. He read in silence. When he finished, his eyes were wet. What do you want to do? I asked. He looked at me. What do you want? I thought about it. The pain, the humiliation, the scars, but also the possibility. We can meet, I said finally. Once, in a public place, with clear rules. And if she breaks them, then we are done. Derek nodded. One more thing, I added. She is not holding Sophie until she looks me in the eye and says it in person. Fair. He paused. More than fair. But I was willing to try. We met at a coffee shop on a Tuesday afternoon. Neutral ground. Public space. Sophie and her stroller between us. Vivian looked different. Smaller somehow. The sharp edges softened. She wore less makeup, simpler clothes. 6 months of therapy and isolation will do that to a person. She sat across from me. Derek beside me. A table between us. Thank you for meeting me, she said. Her voice was quieter than I remembered. I nodded. Waited. She took a breath. I am sorry. Her eyes met mine directly. For the list. For the money. For years of making you feel unwelcome in your own family. For using your mother's absence as a weapon. Her voice broke on the last words. I told myself I was protecting my son, but I was just afraid of losing him. And instead of dealing with that fear, I took it out on you. She wiped her eyes. You did not deserve any of it. And I am sorry. The coffee shop hummed around us. Normal people having normal conversations. No idea about the history sitting at our table. Thank you for saying that, I said. Vivian's hands trembled on the table. She glanced at the stroller. Can I see her? I looked at Derek. He gave a small nod. I turned Sophie's stroller so Vivian could see her granddaughter. 6 months old. Sleeping peacefully. Vivian's face crumpled. Tears streamed down her cheeks. She is beautiful. Would you like to hold her? The words surprised even me. Vivian looked at me startled. Hopeful. Terrified. Are you sure? I lifted Sophie from the stroller and placed her gently in her grandmother's arms. Vivian held her like something precious and fragile, which she was. I watched them together. The woman who had tried to destroy my marriage, holding my daughter. I had not forgiven her completely. Maybe I never would, but I had given her a chance. Because boundaries are not walls. They are doors. And she had finally found the courage to knock. And that is where my story ends. For now, thank you for staying with me through all of this. If this story made you feel something seen, understood, or just a little less alone, please drop a comment and tell me your thoughts. And if you want more stories like this, check the description below. I have linked some of my favorites. Subscribe, hit the bell, and I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. And remember, your boundaries are not negotiable.